Did you know that sheep love a good party? And what better way to bring the sheep to the action than with a good sheep-based pub cheese? Hello shepherds, welcome back. And if you're new here, hello! This is where we talk all things sheepy. My name's Megan, and today we're going to transform the summer's pastures into a fun pub-style beer dip. So let's talk ingredients. For this recipe, I'm using a combination of a couple of our sheepy farmhouse hard cheeses to equal out to about 100 grams or a cup of shredded cheese. But if you don't have any homegrown cheese, almost any cheese will do, from cheddars to gruyères and goudas. Also, mine have almost no rind, but rinds work really well too in this recipe. Okay, so we're also going to need some flour to dust our cheese, around 50 to 80 grams of your favorite beer, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, around half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of dill, half a teaspoon of mustard seeds, or Dijon mustard works really well too, half a teaspoon of paprika, and I've also added half a teaspoon of smoked paprika and a dash of chili powder. A few drops of Worcestershire sauce or liquid smoke also gives a really good depth of flavor. And we'll also need a pinch of salt and pepper, and then to garnish, I use some dill weed. Okay, let's get started. We'll need to shred our cheese. This is to speed up the melting process, and if you want to thinly slice your cheese instead, that works too. Also, I'm preheating my cast iron. If you have a small saucepan, that works too, and you won't need to preheat your pan. Next, we're going to toss our shredded cheese with a spoonful or two of flour, just enough to coat it. And in our bowl of cheese, we want to add our garlic powder, onion powder, our dried dill weed, and also in this bowl, I'm adding a combination of our smoked paprika, as well as a dash of chili powder. There are some optional flavors to add, but I forgot to add them here, but they work really well, which is the Worcestershire sauce, a couple drops, or some liquid smoke. I'm also adding some mustard seeds, and I'm going to go ahead and grind them up before adding them to our cheese shreds. But if you don't have mustard seeds, Dijon mustard works really good as a substitute. And then we just gently toss all our spices together with our cheese. Next up, let's measure out our liquids. I'm using around 80 grams of beer. The less beer you use, the thicker your dip. Also, on that note, it will thicken up quite a bit as it cools. So there's a lot of give when it comes to how much beer you want to add. So let's go ahead and add our beer to our pan. Sometimes the stronger beers can really become slightly bitter as it cooks down, and the lighter beers may become lost with all the flavors. The alcohol also will evaporate off, so if you want to use a non-alcoholic beer, that'll work too. So once our liquids are nice and warm, it's time to add our spiced cheese shreds into our pan or pot. I'm adding the cheese by the handful, making sure to stir well. I really like to melt the cheese down a bit before adding another handful. And if you find that your beer is evaporating too much, I find it helps just to add some more beer, just a spoonful or two at a time, and then stirring it in to gauge the thickness of the cheese. Once everything is really well melted and bubbly and smooth, let's transfer our cheese into our dipping container. I'm using a baby cast iron pot that I like to use for individual servings of pies, but it works great for dipping too. And for the vector of our flavor transport, we have some homemade pretzels. This is a really rich-bodied and creamy and savory dip. I really love how the beer flavor comes through, and there's this slight touch of smokiness from the paprika. If you want to make this ahead of time, it stores really well in the fridge for a couple days, and to reheat, I like to plop it back into our pan and then add a little bit of beer back into the dip to help liquefy it, and then stirring often as it heats up and melts. And then serve it as usual. So that's about it. Let me know what's your favorite feel-good stay-at-home party snack. And thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, an extra special thank you. I appreciate you. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss a sheepy take. And I'll see you in the next one. Ta-tas!